Hello, historians. Mr. Spalding here. I want to give you a quick overview of this, what we have left in Unit 3 and what we have with Unit 4. So I'm enjoying reading your work. I updated grades last week. I'll be doing that again this week. Do keep in mind that I'm flexible with due dates, and do also keep in mind that if you do a little bit every day, it's easier than doing a whole lot once in a while. It also helps you with learning. So the last unit, Unit 2, we looked at networks of exchange. We looked at the Indian Ocean trade routes here in blue, the Silk routes in red, and in brown, the trans-Saharan trade routes. Do keep in mind that there was also trade in the Americas. We have already examined that earlier this year when we looked at the history of Latin America. We examined trade routes that were developed in the Andes Mountains, vertical trade routes, trading from lower to higher elevations and exchanging goods also north-south along a network that the Incan Empire strengthened. We examined trade routes of the Mayas first, and then the Aztecs and the Yucatan Peninsula, connecting Central America. And connecting Central America, this map doesn't show it, up into southwestern, what is now the United States. We also talked earlier this year about trade routes in the Mississippi River Basin. So these all developed during the time period that just a little bit prior to this. Trade routes linking regions, but not across the Atlantic or Pacific. We also examined the development of what is called the world of Islam, or Dar al-Islam, all the lands where Islam was practiced. Islam was not practiced in the same way in all of these lands, in terms of culture, in terms of politics, but there were many similarities, and Islam provided the, you might say, the lubricant of trade between peoples in these regions, as well as the South China Sea and the Spice Islands regions, which are not on this map. Units 3 and 4 compare land-based empires, sea-based empires, and note the various ways that they compare here. I won't read the slide to you, but I expect you to go back and look at it more carefully. So land-based empires base their strength on control of land. And in the Americas, we mentioned the Aztecs and Incas and Mississippians. Mississippians were not really an empire, but the Aztecs and the Incans certainly were. We have the West African empires here in this dark red. We studied those a lot last year in early modern global studies. Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, connected to the Mediterranean by trade routes and connected less strongly to the Swahili trade states. We have the Ottoman Empire, which develops during this time period, connecting much of, in fact, all of the Eastern Mediterranean and controlling all of the trade that came from Asia into Europe, including the valuable spice trade. To the north, the Russian Empire, which we learned about the fall of when we studied the Russian Revolution. And then farther east, we have the Safavids and the Mughal Empire in India. And then farthest to the east here, we have the Empire of China, two empires actually, the Ming and then the Qing, both land-based, although there was exploration during the Ming. And then far, 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 far to the east here on the edge of the map, we have Japan, which may be called an empire because it was under an emperor, but it was really controlled by the warlords. The next unit is titled Sea-Based Empires. Now, I want you to notice that the time frame is just exactly the same. And I want you to notice the location of the center of these sea-based empires is Europe. all of these empires are based in Europe. So why call them sea-based? Because they project their power across the sea and claim lands across the seas, whether that's across the Atlantic in this case, or down into Africa, or across the Indian Ocean into Asia. These European powers become sea-based empires because of their ability to control sea trade, sea exploration, and lands across the seas. So the sea-based empires, and we've already studied these. We made maps of European exploration, of European conquest and control. So we've already studied this to some extent. But do notice that these two time periods are overlap with each other. So today and Thursday, you have 4 assignments. An Empires and Beliefs assignment focused on Heimler's history and making some notes about how Christianity develops in Europe and how Islam develops in the Middle East, particularly South Asia. I'd ask you to practice some Quizlet terms and open the Empires and Belief prompt and watch the College Board video on belief systems. And then I'd like you to participate in at least one of the 2 practice timed essays that the AP is streaming this week. I put the dates and links up here, and I'll put this up on an assignment for you. Keep up the good work. We'll have a video chat later this week, scheduled Thursday at 12:30 for questions.